All right, let's jump right in and talk about the absolutely bizarre and hilarious origin story of PewDiePie's book, This Book Loves You. It's a story that didn't start with some deep, profound moment of clarity. Nope. It all kicked off with a single, sarcastic tweet that just spiraled into this whole thing. So let's set the stage with the author's own words, which really capture the tone of this whole project. He says, "It was clear to me that the world desperately needed my great wisdom." You can practically feel the sarcasm dripping from that sentence, right? This wasn't some genuine revelation. This was the very beginning of a very, very elaborate joke. So what really sparked this supposed moment of enlightenment? How did this massive outpouring of wisdom actually get started? Well, believe it or not, it all began with a simple tweet. He was just making fun of those generic inspirational quotes we've all seen a million times online. But then a fan, and who knows if they missed the joke or just really liked the vibe, took that tweet and made it into this, quote, beautiful page design. And seeing his own parody being treated like it was some genuine piece of inspiration, well, that's what triggered his comedic epiphany. And really, that one interaction is the whole premise of the book. He frames it as this grand discovery of his own important teachings. But the real kicker, the thing we're going to see again and again, is that little note at the bottom. Please don't quote this. It's like this constant little wink to the audience, reminding us that, yeah, we're all in on the joke. Now, here's what's so clever about this whole thing. It isn't just a bunch of random jokes. The entire project is actually built on this deep-seated skepticism about the very thing it's pretending to be, an inspirational quote book. He flat out admits he's never really gotten the point of these quotes. He defines them as just a bunch of simple words, happiness, be strong, positivity, being basically shouted at you online by complete strangers. It's a pretty cynical take, but let's be honest, it's also kind of relatable, isn't it? And this just lays out his argument perfectly. When the internet screams happiness, his response is, why are strangers taunting me? When it says, be strong, he thinks, who are these sadistic people? It's just a brilliant way of flipping the script and showing how these supposedly positive messages can feel totally impersonal or even a little bit smug. So he just boils his whole critique down to this one question. Who are these sadistic, smug quote makers? He's not just making a joke. He's literally challenging the entire culture of online inspiration, making us think about how aggressive all that positivity can feel sometimes. And of course, there it is again. Please don't quote this. So what do you do when you're faced with what you see as this army of smug quote makers? Well, if you're PewDiePie, the solution is pretty unique. You decide to beat them at their own game by parroting them in the most over-the-top way you can think of. And this is the key right here. He's totally upfront about it. He says, for a laugh, I decided to write a book of inspirational quotes. A whole book filled with the wisdom of PewDiePie. The whole thing, from start to finish, was born out of comedy. It's meant to be a satirical mirror held up to that whole self-help world. Okay, so let's get into the book's actual purpose, at least according to the author. And as you can probably guess with a project like this, the official goal, well, it's not exactly straightforward. He lays out 3 possible outcomes for anyone reading the book, and they are just fantastic. Number 1, maybe it'll genuinely motivate and encourage you. Okay. Number 2, maybe it will help you look at other internet quotes a little more skeptically. And number 3, my personal favorite, maybe it'll just be a welcome distraction from that difficult bowel movement. It covers all the bases, from the profound all the way down to the, well. And there it is again, that classic self-deprecating warning, please don't quote this. It's the central running gag of the entire book. Just this constant little tap on your shoulder, reminding you, hey, don't take any of this so-called wisdom seriously. So what's the big takeaway? Well, he leaves us with some final words of advice that are practical, but also completely absurd. He says, hope you enjoy it, and then immediately follows up with, don't try and eat it, which, is solid advice for pretty much any book. And then he teases us with the promise of a lasagna version coming soon. I think we're all still waiting on that one. And for the final, deadpan twist, the perfect little bombshell to end on, he reveals this book was ghostwritten by Edgar. And for anyone who doesn't know, Edgar is his pug. It's just the perfect sign-off for a book that has absolutely refused to take itself seriously from page 1. So after this whole wild satirical ride, we're kind of left with this one big question to think about. Can parody actually be its own kind of wisdom? Maybe by making fun of inspiration, by taking it apart piece by piece, we actually end up with a different, maybe even a more honest kind of insight. What do you think?